You are looking live at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which closed, I guess, just slightly above 38,000 today. It just makes me think back to when I was a kid. My dad was buying stocks like IBM, and the Dow was like below 500. I don't know how far back Market Smith goes anymore. They have some new update on their software. Yeah, I know it goes back to like 70, what's 1970? Okay. And the Dow in the mid 70s hit down below, yeah, 600. So to look at it today and see it above 38,000 from 500, it just makes me feel old for one thing, but it just also just, the magic of the markets, just trading higher over time. Time is your friend if you have time. Time is the most important construct in the markets, and the Dow Jones, above 38,000. That's just pretty amazing stuff. S&P 500 made another high today, closing high, all-time high of 4868. Crossed above that 4,818 from back in 21. Yeah, so S&P another high. There it is on the daily, 4868. Yeah, so. And it closed, pretty close to its daily high of the daily range, right? Only what 18 points below it. Not too shabby of a day there for the S&P 500 making a new high. The winner today was the Russell 2000. It's good to see this thing bounce. It didn't even pull back to its 50 and now has recaptured its 10 and its 21. So the Russell had a nice strong day, up 2%. That's good to see. I believe that small caps are going to have a good year, but it's got to deliver. It can't just talk about it here. You can see on the weekly how it pulled back 4 weeks in a row, bounced off its 10-week. And 10 weeks not the same as the 50-day, but Russell looks good. And let's go to the daily chart of the Nasdaq, which is not near a new high. Like the Dow and the S&P, it's got a long way to go to hit 16,212. You're looking at 900 points or so. The Nasdaq had a good day. That was up 49 points, 0.32%, and closed at 15,360. The volume, I gotta go to the daily here. The volume was a little bit above average. So you can see the last three sessions, we're getting some decent volume coming in on this move. You're going to hear, all sorts of pundits talk about how expensive the market is and it's overvalued. A lot of shenanigans going along right now. We're into earnings season and people do anything for a dollar. They kill, they rob, they maim, they steal, whatever, for a dollar. And Wall Street's no different. I'm never surprised at some of the stuff that goes on Wall Street. And there's just been a lot of shenanigans here prior to earnings season. We just have to wait and see how these firms report, because the greatest driver of growth in your stocks is its ability for earnings, to grow earnings over quarter after quarter, year after year. And that's what's going to do it. Nothing else. No Wall Street downgrade or upgrade or anything like that. It's just them trying to position themselves. Apple pulled back to its 200 and now has spiked nicely the last three sessions. Their Apple Vision Pro, I guess, is selling well. I don't know. We just got to wait. Like I said, we just got to wait till February 1st and Apple will report. Microsoft did what a lot of stocks did today. It ran up in the open, made a new high up above 400 and then pulled back. And a lot of stocks did that. So the daily range there is a 42%. A lot of them are in the bottom half of the daily range. This is why I don't like these Monday morning gaps higher. People get all bowled up and charge in, and then what happens? Sells off and you're underwater. So it's not a good time to buy. It's a good time to sell the spikes and just if you're into selling and trimming. But this is a Microsoft Meta Platforms up to 390, then pulled back. You can see that closing daily range is 7%. 7% there, that number above the volume. And so it closed near the lows of the session, which is we do not like to see. Amazon, same deal. Ran up and then pulled back. Closed at 28% of its daily range. Google, I believe, made a high, yeah, and then pulled back into the session. So same thing with all these, large cap stocks, ran up and then pulled back. Tesla now made a new low, which I'm telling you, you got to avoid stocks making new lows. It was closed at 22% of its daily range and made a new low at 206. The low on Friday was 207.56. The low today, 206.27. Just keeps making new lows. So they're going to report earnings on Wednesday. So, like I say, just wait and see what they have to say. You don't have to make a call, an upgrade or a downgrade or anything like that. Just listen to the company. They'll tell you the story. This is NVIDIA. I believe it's going to have trouble at 600. It made this big move from 473. Really, the breakout was 505 up to 600. Got up to 603 today, and it would not surprise me to see it trade sideways below 600 and allow these moving averages to catch up. It looks great. It looks like the strongest of all the Mag 7 stocks, but we'll just wait and see. I mean, I'm not going to predict anything. I believe that 600 will be resistance. People will take profits around that area. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm hoping that it just rips right through there and confounds everyone, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. AMD had the downgrade today. I believe it was valuation call. They're gonna report earnings next week, next Tuesday. So just wait and see what they have to say. If you look at the weekly, it just looks like, it was up 19% last week, got back, three today, big deal. Now it's 3.5% off that high. I mean, it looks like a short stroke pattern. We'll have to wait for this week to evolve and see what transpires before earnings next week. But AMD looks fine. AVGO Broadcom had that ascending base pattern, and now it's starting to push away from that area. Still, the 1151. I still like this stock to trade higher. Doesn't have earnings till the end of February. That's a real powerful pattern. I believe is going to go higher, but that's just me. ASML, they report on Wednesday, the 24th, before the market opens. And this one made a high today and pulled back, just like everything else. There you can see the high of 776, and then it pulled back. The daily closing range was 10% of that bar. So it looks like it closed near the lows. So pretty common though with the rest of the many of the stocks today. ACMR, this one I had on our ready list. It traded up to a new high and then pulled back. It closed at the middle of its daily range there. Made a high of 22.47, then pulled back a little bit, but I still like this stock. It climbed above this prior bar here. We want to zoom in on this. These prior bars here, this bar, 22.24 eclipse, this one here of 21.07. Now today, 22.47 eclipse that prior bar of 22.24. So I'm liking that stock right now. A lot to like, right? SMCI, I've got to post this one. You can see the big breakout of consolidation on Friday. It was a choppy mess up until then. The big breakout bar. Then today it ran up to 485 at the open. God, I hope people weren't buying it there. But still, it was up, 3% today. It's a nice day. Closed at 436, 34% of the daily range though, because it ran up so much. You could see that it was in the morning. If I go to the 5-minute chart, you can see the first thing in the morning. Wow, look at that. The fools rush in, and then what happens? This is why I do not like these Monday morning spikes. It actually went negative for a little bit and then closed up on the session. But yeah, fools rush in on Mondays on these gaps higher. You got to be very careful. Good day to sell, not a good day to buy. This is did the same thing. If I look at the 5-minute, yeah, ran up and then just pulled back all day. Still closed, I think, flat on the session. Yeah, 20 cents, big deal. I still like that stock. It's got to allow the moving averages to catch up. It's getting a little ahead of itself there. Yeah, 8.7% above the 21. So, if you own it, just be patient. If you don't, you're gonna have to wait to get in. Anyway, that's enough for the semiconductors. I want to move on to the software. I had a ton of software names on our ready list, and Datadog's not one of them because it broke out last week. But I do like Datadog, and we have to look at the weekly charts. And This Datadog last week, and I mentioned that this bar here was above the prior bars here, the 3 weeks tight, the pullback made a higher of 123 than last week, went up to 130. So to me, that's a breakout and a buy. And now it's like you got to hold or wait for the moving averages to catch up. Today's daily bar was not pretty because it ran up like everything else in the morning, then pulled back 28% of its daily range, but still a nice day with volume, up 2%. You're going to take that all day long. But they ran up and then pulled back. People get excited. They get excited with their stocks. Just relax, people. This is a 5-week flat base pattern. Tried to break out today, but what happened? Well, pull back. Still close 62% of its daily range, up 2.5%. Good day for Elastic. I'm going to leave that one on our ready list as IoT. This one's bipolar. I cannot stand this stock. I'm not going to buy it, but it is near a buy point. Just cannot break out and sustain a break higher. You want your stocks to power higher out of a base and keep ripping higher, but now this thing's like a magnet to its moving averages, keeps pulling back to those things. It's got separation anxiety from its moving averages. Snow, another one that gapped higher today, and this one closed, at the low, well, near the mid of its daily range, 44%, but still a nice 3% move. Looks good for Snowflake. I got to look at this one on the weekly, because that's a nice kind of tight action, then a pullback. This is emerging out of a stage 1 base. When is earnings for Snowflake? Not for another 5 weeks or so. So you have time. MNDY, Monday or Mandy. It looked like it was going to break out today and then pull back, but still up 2.5%. And its closing range was what? That's not right, is it? It's 37% of its daily range. Yeah, that's about right. So 199 to 209. Yeah, I thought it was going to break out and rip higher today, but this is a problem with these Monday morning gaps higher. No pun intended. Monday still looks good to me. App. This is one that I was going to put on our ready list, but I didn't because I had so many software names. But it had a nice day today, up more than 5%. If it pulls back closer to this MA, I'm going to put it on here. It's still the standards for 44.57, but you'd like to get it closer to the moving average here. I would anyway. 4.7% above the 10, but this thing has the ability, as you can see here, this thing has the ability to make big moves and even bigger moves. And then it's been consolidating for a while here. So that 44 area is definitely an area of interest if it could get through there. But so yeah, look for that one on the ready list soon. Anyway, I've got to go to the stocks that I just believe. I heard after hours that I think it was Twitter or X that got hacked after hours, and Microsoft got hacked, and they didn't report it until Friday after the close. And so all the cybersecurity stocks were up higher, including CrowdStrike. Like NVIDIA, I believe this one's going to have trouble with that large number, the round 300 number. Today it traded above it. I want to say about 302, and then it pulled back exactly 302, and then it pulled back. So nothing wrong with CrowdStrike. I don't think, I think it'll trade sideways. I don't think it's going to come back and you're going to get it at 260 or 250 or anything. That would be a pipe dream, the old 261, but I think it could pull back to the 10. It's going to have some resistance there at the 300, just like NVIDIA at 600. But if it can power through there, you can see that nice gap higher. It can power through there. CrowdStrike is a very strong stock. You know my feelings about this one. It could be definitely a big grand slam in the next 3 to 5 years. So if you own it long, I mean, your shares are valuable. Zscaler, same thing. Just trending higher and gapped up, closed 86% of its daily range. This one is a little closer to its moving average. As you can see here, it just kind of bounced off the 10. Yeah, then CrowdStrike and close 86% of its daily range, like I said, and a nice move today, man. Up $9, or more than 4%. We're going to take that all day long. And Palo Alto Network, same thing. A lot of strength in the cybersecurity names, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some of this continue tomorrow with the breach from Twitter. I got to read more about that because I have a Twitter account. I don't know what happened to Twitter, to be honest with you, or X. I should say X. Elon renamed it X. And anyway, net is one that's on our ready list. Definitely a nice bounce here off its 50. It broke out of this base here and now pulled back to the 50 for its first time and now bounced higher. I really like this stock. Made a high today of 87.17, then pulled back immediately like everything else. 31% of its daily range, but yeah, we'll have to see what they have to say on earnings February 8th. You just got to wait for them to tell the story, and I believe earnings are going to be strong. They better be. I'm going to go to the biotech stocks because a lot of these things have been out of love for a while. Now there's XBI and the biotech starting to get a little bit of a momentum. This is iPoint EYPT gapped higher on news, pulled back to its 21, finding support there and a bounce 7% today. Made a high and pulled back like everything else. Sound familiar? Yeah. So still close 71% of its daily range. Definitely one to watch, as is AXSM. This is they've got quite a bit in their pipeline here. AXSM bounced off its 21 here, moving higher, looking very good. VKTX, this is a buyout target if I've ever seen one. Trending along its moving averages. Had a nice day today, up nearly 5%. With volume, they have a real good compound for the weight loss drugs, and weight loss is going to be big. I don't care if you want to go eat as best you can and work out at the gym and do all that. There's just an epidemic of diabetes globally, and these drugs are going to be in vogue and be popular for the next 5 to 10 years. Speaking of which, NVO, which my financial advisor told me to buy in 99 because of diabetes, and this story still rings true, but this thing's just going sideways. It'll probably frustrate you if you own it. It's just, it's just a hold in a retirement account for me. But it's tradable. It moves. You can see how gappy it is. Gaps up, pulls back, gaps up, pulls back, gaps up here to what 108.98, then just pulls back to the 21. It's not going to trade with the indexes. Very gappy because it trades overseas, but strong stock. If you want to hold it long-term over time. Lilly's kind of the same thing in this little flat base consolidation. While the markets have been rallying, these things have been consolidating. So if the markets pull back, these ones might, make new highs. That would not surprise me one bit. I'm not predicting that, but it wouldn't surprise me. Deckers, oh boy. Broke out of the base, ran up to 723, pulled back to the 50 for the first time. And if you follow me at all, that this is a gift right here at 651. Did I buy it? No, I didn't. But usually in an uptrend, that's going to be an area to buy. And now today it made a new high, is up 18 bucks or 2.46% at a new high of 767 close. They're going to report earnings on the 1st. Which is what, next Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday, I think. Yeah, wow. The closing range, 97% of its daily range. Pretty rare for today when most stocks were pulling back. Deckers wants higher. ELF, this is what ELF does, people. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. People are really upset that ELF is selling off with volume. It's going out of the small cap 600 into the mid cap S&P 400. You think it's a promotion, but it's not, because more funds track the 600 than the mid cap 400. So it's actually a demotion in that regards. It was downgraded today on comps. I guess that it's not going to grow at 76% anymore. That's probably a given. But if it grows at 40 or 50, I think that's going to be okay, especially if they're growing earnings at triple digits. Like I say, earnings is what's going to, be the fuel for your stock to trade higher. If I just go back, give me a minute here with ELF. I go back to last year. ELF at the beginning of the year sold off violently here. 3%, 8%, another 3.8%, sliced it's 50. Everybody thought it was dead here, down at 48 bucks. And yeah, okay, it was dead. And then you look, in the summer, it went from 48 to what, 139? Yeah. So, sell it at your own peril. I mean, to me, this is not doing anything that it normally, doesn't do. This is what it does, right? This is what ELF does. It's pretty choppy. If you look at this daily chart here, it had this cup and it went up to 153, which is the high in the handle, pulled back to the 131 level. And it made a run from 131 to 164 in a very short period of time. And all it did really was retrace about 60% of that move. This morning it was down to 143 and then closed at 153.86, which is 96% of the daily range. So it closed near the high. Just, I don't know. I don't think it's doing anything wrong. You look at the weekly, formed a base, ripped for a year, formed another base. It's it traded 3 weeks tight, pulled back, ran up. This is the move right here from 131 one week to 164, after another week's passing, and now it pulls back to 143. I don't know. I think you just got to relax and let them tell their story on February 1st. From what I gather on TikTok, these guys are killing it. Mindshare, market share. They bought a skincare product. They're expanding into Europe. I mean, they haven't even gotten going there yet. My dad made a killing with Estee Lauder in his time. And maybe ELF is this generation's Estee Lauder. Oh, we can only wish. That stock was a monster. This is Dick's Sporting Goods, and it made a new high today. Retail stocks making new highs. Yeah, we like that. Still in a base. It hasn't broken out yet, even with today's 4% move. Still at the top of that base. I still like Dick's Sporting Goods and Mercado Libre. This is on our ready list last week, I think, or the week before. But it broke out. It's gone now. It's moved higher. The Wingstop, same thing, making new highs. And it stands to reason, that with the retail sales data that we got, people are working, people are spending, people are flying about the country. Anyway, that's it for me. Except for I lied in the honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing. And that is earnings. United Airlines reported earnings tonight up more than 5.5%. They crushed it. Like I said, people are traveling, they're spending money, they're whining and dining and flying around. People have money and they're spending. So feeling pretty good about ourselves with the stock market at all-time highs. I mean, why not, right? Anyway, United is going to lift that entire, probably, I would imagine it would lift the entire industry tomorrow. There's Delta up 2% after hours. That'd be something to look for tomorrow morning. And also DR Horton reports tomorrow morning. And this one right there, I do not like stocks making new highs right before earnings, but we're just gonna have to see what they have to say tomorrow morning. Yeah, DR Horton at an all-time high going into earnings tomorrow. So they're gonna have to really crush it. Anyway, that's it for me today. A lot going on. Earnings are just coming in fast and furious this week, so I'm gonna have to be on my toes. Anyway, we never give up.